Pokémon SCYTHER vs. CHARIZARD. Chapter 1. Bug Island. Look! It's Mokot Island! Ash Ketchum shouted. He pointed to an island covered in thick woods. Ash and his mouse Pokémon, Pikachu, rode on Ash's trusty Lapras, a large, blue, water-type Pokémon. Ash's friends Misty and Tracy also rode Lapras. Misty held Togepi, a tiny baby Pokémon that had hatched from a rare egg. Ash couldn't wait to get to Mokot Island and the next Pokémon adventure. Let's go! Ash called to his friends. He pulled his red and white cap over his shaggy black hair. Ash wanted to explore the island right when he turned 10. Ash had left away home to go on a journey to search for new Pokémon creatures with amazing powers and to compete against gym leaders to earn badges. To become a Pokémon master, he needed to capture and train all different kinds of Pokémon. Bib. His journey had taken him a long way, all the way to the Orange Islands. He and his friends had seen some amazing things on the islands, and he hoped Mokot Island wouldn't be any different. Ayaha! Misty cried as a large beedrill buzzed overhead. The combination bug and poison-type Pokémon looked like a big, fierce bee. Misty clutched Togepi tightly. Her orange hair gleamed in the sun. But Tracy looked excited. Mokot Island is famous for having tons of bug-type Pokémon, he said. We might discover a new Pokémon. Tracy was a Pokémon trainer and watcher. He was a few years older than Ash and wore a bandana in his dark hair. Tracy was always searching for new Pokémon to study and draw. Lapras swam up to the island's shore. Ash and his friends jumped off onto the beach. Thanks, Lapras, Ash said as he took out a Pokeball. Ash recalled Lapras and put the Pokeball back on his belt. Tracy took out 2 of his Pokeballs. Marill! Tracy called, and a blue Pokémon appeared. Marill looked like a plump blue mouse with big ears. A round ball bobbed on the end of its long tail. Venonat! Tracy shouted. A furry, bug-like Pokémon stood next to Marill. Venonat had 2 round, red eyes, 2 flat feet and no arms. Ash and Tracy were eager to start capturing Pokémon. But Misty looked like she wanted to get back on Lapras and ride out to sea. What's the matter with her? Tracy asked. He looked over at Misty, who was usually fearless. Misty's afraid of bug-type Pokémon, Ash explained. Oh, I get it. Tracy turned to Misty. When it comes to bugs, Misty's a chicken. Who are you calling a chicken? Misty protested. Don't worry, Misty, Tracy comforted. Marill and Venonat will take care of us. Ash watched as Venonat and Marill headed straight for the woods. Venonat's radar and Marill's keen hearing will help us find new Pokémon, Tracy explained. Ash nodded. Tracy's Pokémon had proven themselves to be very useful on their adventures. Venonat and Marill led Ash and the others to a clearing in the forest. A group of small, green bug-type Pokémon crawled in the grass. Cool! Cater pie, Ash said. Misty took one look at them and turned right around. Yuck! I hate bugs. I hate bugs. I hate bugs, she chanted as she dragged Ash and Pikachu away. Suddenly, they heard a noise in the trees. They stopped. A large Pokémon with 2 sharp horns on top of its body jumped in front of them. It raised its terrible claws in the air. It was a Pinsir, Ash knew. The caterpie looked cute compared to the Pinsir even to Misty. Misty grabbed Ash's arm. They ran back to find Tracy. Ash told Tracy all about the scary pincer. Pincer are pretty incredible, Tracy said. But not that unusual. I'm hoping Mariel and Venonette will find something really rare. Suddenly, Venonette and Mariel pointed into the woods. There's something in that direction, Tracy said excitedly. He ran after his Pokémon. Ash and the others followed. Soon they came to a clearing in the trees. Venonette and Mariel had found something, all right. A big green Pokémon with razor-edged wings was lying on the ground. It looked very, very sick. Ash quickly took out his Pokédex, Dexter. The small computer held information about all kinds of Pokémon. Scyther, the mantis Pokémon. It uses its sharp wings to capture prey. It can also use its wings to fly. It is seldom seen by humans and almost never captured, Dexter explained. Okay, bad Urea. Ash, Misty, Tracy and Pikachu moved Lise forward to check out Scyther. Suddenly, it opened its eyes and hissed. The friends quickly jumped back. It looks angry, Misty commented. Let me check out your injuries, Scyther. Tracy whispered gently. He slowly approached the giant creature. Scyther jumped up. It looked ready to attack the friends at any moment. All right, then, Ash said. He took out a Pokeball to capture Scyther. What are you doing, Ash? Tracy asked. I'm going to catch this Scyther. Then I'll take it to the Pokémon Center so it can get help, Ash replied. He threw the Pokeball at Scyther. Go, Pokeball! Ash shouted. The Pokeball flew through the air. Scyther raised a giant wing. It easily batted the Pokeball away. Ash couldn't believe it. Scyther refused to be caught. How can Scyther do that? Misty asked. It looks so weak. Ash frowned. Scyther did look weak. Ash knew that he had to get it to the Pokémon Center soon. But Scyther didn't look like it would back down easily. In fact, it looked ready for a fight. Chapter 2. Scyther Attack. If that Scyther wants a fight, it'll get one. Ash yelled. Go Pikachu! Pikachu was the very first Pokémon Ashku ever had. The small electric-type Pokémon always fought bravely for Ash. Even though Scyther was much bigger, Pikachu was ready for the challenge. Wait! Tracy called before Pikachu could get to Scyther. It's too weak to fight. You want me to just leave it here? Ash asked. It's a rare Pokémon, Tracy. And it needs help. Leave it to me, Tracy replied. You're up, Venonette, he told his Pokémon. Venonette carefully approached Scyther.sv. Venonette was not much bigger than Pikachu. It didn't look like a good match for Scyther either. But Tracy knew Venonette had many powerful poisonous techniques. You can do it, Venonette, he shouted. Sleep powder. Venonette released the sleep powder. The weakened Scyther couldn't resist. It drifted softly into a deep sleep. It's working! Ash exclaimed. Tracy hurled a Pokeball at Scyther. The ball opened. Light flashed, and the Scyther disappeared. It was finally caught. Quick, Tracy ordered his friends. Let's get it to a Pokémon Center. As the friends traveled through the forest, they were too busy to notice the giant hot air balloon flying overhead. Inside the balloon were Jessie, James and Meowth, a trio of Pokémon thieves known as Team Rocket. The balloon looked just like Meowth, a white scratch cat Pokémon. Team Rocket searched the forest through their binoculars until they spotted Ash and his friends. Just the Pokémon trainers we love to steal from, sneered Jessie, a tall teenage girl who wore a white uniform. Let's get them, yelled her partner, James. James had blue hair and wore a uniform just like Jessie's. But Team Rocket didn't notice the beedrill that was quickly approaching. The beedrill punctured the balloon with its sharp stinger. What a letdown! James cried as the balloon deflated and sailed back down to land. Jessie, James, and Meowth looked around at all the strange, bug-like Pokémon that inhabited Makot Island. Off! Where are we? Jessie wondered. It's certainly buggy. James shrugged. You can say that again, Meowth said. There's a swarm of Scyther headed our way. Slash! The sound of Scyther's sword-like wings whipped through the air. Swish! Scyther moved so fast Team Rocket couldn't even see what was happening. Team Rocket shut their eyes as a blur of metallic wings surrounded them. They didn't open them until it was quiet again. Jessie looked up and down. She was still in one piece. Phew! That was a close one. Jessie sighed with relief. I thought I was a goner. James agreed. Then he and Meowth got a good look at Jessie. They tried to hide their giggles. What's wrong? Jessie demanded. Jessie. I'm afraid. James didn't want to tell her the bad news. Your hair's not there. Meowth purred. Jessie felt around the top of her head. Where once there had been long, flowing red hair, now there were short chunks. The Scyther had cut off her hair. I'm gonna get that Scyther. Jessie screamed. Someone is going to pay. Blue, why catch just one Scyther when we can swipe the whole swarm? Meowth asked. You think we could do that? Jessie and James wondered. Of course! If we had a swarm of Scyther on our side, we'd be simply unstoppable. Meowth explained. Yes. James understood. We can get revenge for Jessie's hair and score points with the boss at the same time. What are we waiting for? Jessie asked. I want revenge on those butchering bugs. Chapter 3. Scyther recovers. Why did the Scyther keep trying to fight when it was so weak? Ash wondered. Ash, Misty, and Tracy were at the Pokémon Center on Makot Island. Nurse Joy, a red-haired Pokémon expert, worked to heal the injured Scyther. 2-round, Pink Chansey helped Nurse Joy. The friends waited anxiously outside the operating room. Hey, you guys. Misty looked through the glass window of the operating room. Scyther keeps staring at us. Nurse Joy came out to talk to the friends. How is Scyther? Ash asked. It's in pretty bad shape, Nurse Joy said regretfully. It will take quite a while for it to recover. What do you think happened to it? Ash asked. Maybe if they knew the cause of Scyther's injuries, they could help it recover. Nurse Joy explained, I guess the old warrior finally lost a battle for leadership of its swarm. How do you know that Scyther was the leader of its whole swarm? Tracy asked. Well, Nurse Joy continued, an older Scyther could only have got these kinds of injuries by battling another Scyther. Ash was still confused. But if it's so strong, how could it have been defeated? Usually it's a younger, faster Scyther that challenges the leader. Sometimes speed and power can overcome even the most experienced Pokémon, Nurse Joy explained. Once a leader loses to another Scyther, it can't stay in the swarm. Unless it wins another leadership battle, it has to live all by itself. Ash was listening closely to Nurse Joy when he heard her ring. It's the video phone, Ash told Nurse Joy. Nurse Joy switched on the video phone. Professor Oak, the ultimate authority on Pokémon, appeared on the screen. Ash had first come to the Orange Islands to pick up the mysterious GS ball for Professor Oak. Professor Oak, Ash greeted his mentor. This is my friend Tracy. He's an excellent Pokémon watcher. He captured the Scyther that Nurse Joy is taking care of. You should be very proud of your capture, Tracy, Professor Oak replied. Congratulations. Tracy looked embarrassed. I guess so. Aren't you happy to have caught it? Professor Oak asked. Tracy looked at the Scyther, who was lying in bed. It was still hissing and staring at them. It doesn't seem to like me, Tracy said sadly. Scyther are born with a warrior's pride, Professor Oak told Tracy. The Scyther must feel it has lost pride by losing first the leadership battle and then being caught by you. What can I do to help it? Tracy asked eagerly. Professor Oak continued. Keep in mind that every single Pokémon has its own unique feelings and personality. You must try to help Scyther regain confidence in itself and in its strength. Ash could see the determination on Tracy's face. He knew Tracy was thinking about Professor Oak's words. Ash watched Tracy go to Scyther's bedside. As Ash stood in the doorway, he could hear Tracy whisper, I'm sorry, Scyther. You must feel terrible after being captured without a real battle. Scyther looked at Tracy and hissed weakly. But as a trainer, I couldn't just leave you there, Tracy explained. I never thought I would end up hurting you. Ash entered the room. I have an idea, Tracy, he said to his friend. What if this Scyther has a rematch with the one it lost to? Scyther's a natural-born warrior. And it's happiest when it's battling. As Scyther listened to Ash's words, it turned toward him. It looked a little stronger already. Tracy turned to Scyther. What do you think, Scyther? When you're better you can go and battle again. Maybe I can even help you to train if you want me to. Suddenly, Scyther began to flap its wings. It floated up above the bed. Nurse Joy and the friends looked alarmed. No, wait! Nurse Joy pleaded. You can't move yet. Scyther flew away from Tracy and crashed out through the window. The friends called after it. Scyther! Scyther! Come back! You're not well enough yet. But it was too late. Scyther flew out of sight. Ash headed out the door right after Scyther. Come on, he called to his friends. I bet Scyther's going to challenge the new leader to a rematch. Chapter 4. Revenge is not so sweet. Hold on, Ash whispered to the others. Look up ahead. Ash had spotted Team Rocket hiding in the bushes. They were spying on the swarm of Scyther that had attacked them and cut off Jessie's hair. It's time for revenge, Jessie cried. Jessie pointed a device that looked like a telescope at the swarm. Now it's payback time, she shouted. A missile shot out the end of the device. It flew into the air. Then it exploded, sending yellow, gooey toffee all over the Scyther swarm. All the Scyther were caught in the gummy mess. As they twisted and turned, trying to escape, Team Rocket blasted another device. This time, a net surrounded the sticky swarm. So you thought you could get away with cutting my hair, did you? Jessie taunted. Well, now I've cut you all down to size. The Scyther struggled to slash the net, but they couldn't move. They were too sticky from the toffee missile. No! Ash cried. Somebody's got to save them. At his words, something swooped down. From a nearby tree. Tracy's Scyther. Its body might have been weak, but its heart was super strong. Scyther slashed at the top of the net with its sharp wings. The net opened up, and the captured they were free. Scyther climbed out. What's going on? Jessie asked. Ash ran out of his hiding place. His friends followed. That's when they noticed Jessie's chopped up hair. Ash couldn't help giggling. What are you looking at? Jessie challenged them. Hey, where did you get that new haircut? Misty laughed. You insult my hair? Jessie warned. Prepare for trouble. Jessie and James shouted a new, improved BrimQ battle cry. To protect the world from pattern baldness. To fight split ends within our nation. To denounce bad hair and poor complexion. To draw jealous stares in our direction. Jessie! James! Team Rocket blast off with halos alight. Surrender now or prepare to fight. Meowth! That's right, added Meowth. Let's catch Pikachu and all those Scyther at once. Ash was prepared to battle. Go, Pikachu! Ash commanded. Pikachu squeaked as it lunged at Team Rocket. Led James quickly took out a Pokeball. He released a Pokémon that looked like a purple cloud of smog with two heads. It was Weezing, a poison-type Pokémon. Weezing, smokescreen. James ordered. A gray fog covered Ash and his friends. They began to cough and choke. Pikachu was helpless. Heilsmet. Oh no, Ash thought. We might actually lose to Team Rocket. Then there was a whir in the air. Ash looked up. Tracy's Scyther was spinning like a top, creating a strong wind. The wind cleared away all the smog. What's that? Ash asked Dexter as he began to breathe more easily. Sword Stance, Scyther's special attack. Scyther spins furiously to focus its energy and increase its attack power, Dexter explained. Scyther folded its wings. It landed on the ground in front of Meowth. SCY, it warned in a raspy voice. Meowth understood most Pokémon language. The Scratch Cat Pokémon nodded. Yeah, you talk pretty big. What did it say? James asked Meowth. Meowth spoke in its deepest voice. It's saying, I may not be their leader anymore, but I won't let you take them. But Team Rocket wasn't going to give up so easily. Arbok! Jessie shouted as she threw a Pokeball in the air. A poison-type Pokémon that looked like a cobra appeared. Victory Bell, called James. He released a Pokémon that looked like a giant yellow plant. Jessie threw one more ball in the air. Lickitung, she yelled. A pink and white Pokémon with a long, sticky tongue burst from the Pokeball. Weezing, Victory Bell. James commanded. Tear it apart. You, too, Arbok and Lickitung. Jessie added. Team Rocket's Pokémon advanced on Tracy's Scyther. Pikachu ran in to help. But Scyther lifted a wing and held Pikachu back. It didn't want any help. It needed to fight this battle all by itself. It's battling to win back its pride as a warrior. Tracy exclaimed. Scyther looked back at Tracy. It knew that Tracy now understood. It was ready to obey his commands. Meowth challenged Scyther first. Attack! Tracy shouted. Scyther let out a great roar. It raised a great wing and slashed Meowth. Meowth tumbled through the air. Good job, Scyther, Tracy called. Scyther hovered in the air, waiting for the next attack. Ash saw Lickitung and Victreebel sneaking up beneath the warrior Pokémon. Tracy noticed it, too. Lickitung was coming from the left. Victreebel was coming from the right. Look out below, Scyther! Tracy shouted. Scyther flew up just in the nick of time. Instead of grabbing Scyther, Lickitung and Victreebel crashed into each other. The battle wasn't over. Arbok slithered up into the air. Ash knew that Scyther needed to watch out for its poison sting. Quick attack, commanded Tracy. Scyther danced from side to side around Arbok. Arbok tried to attack Scyther. But Scyther was too fast. Arbok missed and fell to the ground. Victreebel recovered and returned to battle. But Scyther quickly used the /SW attack to cut off a few of Victreebel's leaves and the Pokémon retreated. It worked! Ash cried, but he was still worried. Scyther was weak and out of breath. He wasn't sure how much more fighting it could take before it fainted. Arbok, poison sting! Jessie commanded. The snake-like Pokémon shot out sharp, poison-drenched spikes that rained down on Scyther. Scyther was too weak to retaliate. Ash cringed. Don't let them win. Scyther, he called out. But in his heart, he knew that Scyther was too weak to win this battle after all. Chapter 5. An old friend to the rescue. Scyther writhed in pain. Arbok closed in to finish the attack. It shot a new barrage of poison needles at Scyther. Ash turned away. He couldn't bear to look. But the sound of wings made him turn back. A blurry figure flew in front of Scyther. It was the new leader of the Scyther. Swarm! The young Scyther deflected the needles with its wings. It defended our Scyther! Tracy shouted happily. Jessie looked determined. Then all of you attack at once, she ordered her Pokémon. Team Rocket's Pokémon were now as weak as Scyther once was. Tracy and Scyther worked together to defeat them easily. Scyther raised its shiny wings to fight off another attack from Arbok. Then Scyther crossed its wings, one over the other. Energy flashed from the razor tips and slammed into Team Rocket's Pokémon. The blast knocked them all down. Jessie had one last hope. She raised the toffee missile device and screamed, "I've still got one more shot." Pikachu! Ash ordered. Thunderbolt! Pikachu sent out a fierce bolt that electrified Jessie, James, and Meowth. They ran as fast as they could into the trees. But before they could get away, Scyther used one last slash attack to chop off their hair. All that was left was one stripe down the middle of each of their heads. Ash, Misty, and Tracy laughed at Team Rocket's new look. A swarm of Beedrill flew overhead. A parade of Caterpie crawled up a nearby tree. Guys, Misty said tentatively. Do you think we could get off this bug-infested island now? Ash and Tracy smiled. Sure thing, Misty. Then Ash and the others made their way to shore, with Scyther and its swarm flying right behind them. As Ash released Lapras, Tracy watched as Scyther said goodbye to its old swarm before returning to its Pokeball. Then the friends climbed onto Lapras's back and set out to sea. It wasn't long before they spotted another island. Luscious green trees full of tropical fruit filled its shores. Let's stop here, Ash suggested as his stomach growled loudly. I'm hungry. This looks like a good place, Misty agreed. I could use a good, bug-free rest. Lapras, take us to that island, Ash instructed. The friends soon reached the island's shore. Pikachu couldn't wait to start exploring. Pika, Pika, it called to Togepi. Togi, Togi, gurgled the baby Pokémon. Don't go too far away, you two, Ash warned as they ran off to play. Ash, Misty and Tracy explored the shore, looking for some lunch. Just then, a nut fell from the sky. It hit Ash right on the head. Ash looked up. He saw a strange tan Pokémon flying overhead. Hey, that looks like... Ash began. Dexter finished his sentence. Farfetch'd, the wild duck Pokémon. This extremely rare Pokémon can always be found ALD holding a leek or green onion, which it uses to build its nest. Tracy was excited by the discovery. This is very unusual, he said. I need to observe it. Let's observe lunch first, Misty suggested. There are enough fruits and berries on this island that finding food shouldn't be a problem, Tracy replied as he picked a bunch of tropical fruit off a tree. Great! Let's rest here all day, Ash suggested. Our Pokémon could use a break. Ash threw 4 Pokeballs into the air. Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Charizard, Snorlax, come on out. Ash called as he released his Pokémon. Squirtle was a tiny turtle Pokémon. Bulbasaur had a plant bulb growing on its back. Charizard was a fire and flying type Pokémon that looked like an orange dragon. And the sleepy Snorlax was one of the biggest and laziest Pokémon around. Misty specialized in water-type Pokémon. She released Staryu, a star-shaped Pokémon, and Goldeen, an elegant goldfish Pokémon. She sent them to play in the waves with Lapras. Finally, Tracy took out 2 Pokeballs. Venonat! Marill! The Pokémon all played happily on the beach. Marill let Togepi use its round tail like a toy. Then Ash noticed that Tracy had forgotten to release his newest bug and flying-type Pokémon, Scyther. Tracy threw the Pokeball into the air. Scyther appeared at last. It growled and hissed. The other Pokémon gasped and jumped back. They eyed its sharp, sparkling wings. Oh, Ash chuckled. None of you have met Scyther yet, have you? Everyone, Saiyans hello to Scyther. The Pokémon greeted Scyther timidly. Scyther replied with a bellowing roar. You're supposed to say hello, not scare them half to death. Misty informed Scyther. She picked Togepi up and held it tightly in her arms. Togepi wiggled its way out of Misty's arms. It hopped down and over to Scyther. Togi, Togi, it squeaked. Scyther looked down at the adorable baby Pokémon and stopped growling. When the other Pokémon saw that Togepi was okay, they walked over to Scyther, one by one. All but Charizard, that is. Ever since Ash had evolved Charizard from Charmeleon, he had had trouble getting the Pokémon to obey his commands. Introduce yourself to Scyther, too, Charizard, Ash suggested. Charizard turned away from Ash. Come on, Charizard. Listen to me. Ash whined. Charizard turned and breathed a ball of fire aimed right at Ash. But the fireball shot past Ash. It hit Scyther by mistake. Scyther flew in front of Charizard's face and roared loudly. Charizard, no! Ash yelled. Scyther, back down! Tracy commanded. But the two Pokémon didn't budge. They eyed each other angrily. I think they're going to fight, Ash cried. Chapter 6. A Day to Rest. Ash bravely stepped in between Scyther and Charizard. No fighting! This is supposed to be a day off, he shouted. Scyther and Charizard backed off. They continued to growl at each other. They had definitely not got off to a good start. This looks like a pretty hopeless situation, Misty observed. I don't think they'll ever get along. Maybe they'll be in a better mood after they eat, Tracy suggested. It's time we found lunch. Ash and his friends spent the morning wandering around the island. They searched for food and found lots of fruits and vegetables. They set up a camp on the shore. Then they started to cook. Snorlax plodded over and gobbled down all of their food in one bite. Snorlax, no! Ash cried. His stomach growled as he looked at the now empty cooking pot. Not even a crumb was left. Our dinner done in one bite, he said. With a full stomach, Snorlax lay back and instantly fell asleep. Snorlax sure isn't shy about eating when it wants to eat and sleeping when it wants to sleep, is it? Tracy commented. Maybe not, Misty said as she pulled some extra fruit and vegetables out of her bag. But at least Snorlax didn't find these. The three friends smiled. Lunch is ready, Ash called. All the Pokémon stopped splashing in the water and swinging in the trees. They ran over to the camp for some food. This time, there was one more Pokémon tagging along. What is Jigglypuff doing here? Misty asked as she noticed the pink, big-eyed Pokémon. Oh no! Ash cried. Ash knew that Jigglypuff loved to sing. Ash also knew that Jigglypuff's sing attack would send them all into dreamland. Let's get out of here, Tracy added. But nobody had a chance to go anywhere. Jigglypuff began to sing its mesmerizing lullaby. Ash, Misty, Tracy, and all the Pokémon were soon fast asleep. When they awoke, Jigglypuff was gone. But it had left a memento. Everyone had squiggles and swirls on their faces. Jigglypuff had written all over them with its black marker. Ash shook his head. The same thing happened every time. Jigglypuff got angry when its audience fell asleep. The marker was its revenge. Ash and his friends were hungrier than ever. They washed off all the marker. Then they let Snorlax sleep a little longer while they quickly ate up the fruit and vegetables from Misty's bag. Scyther and Charizard growled at each other as they ate. I guess the food isn't helping much, Misty observed. As Ash tried to keep Scyther and Charizard far apart, another problem was creeping up on a ledge behind the camp, Team Rocket. What a coincidence! Jessie remarked. We came here to relax and we found the twerps instead. No problem, James said. Who needs rest when we can finally capture Pikachu? James threw a Pokeball in the air. Victory Bell popped out. Sleep powder, James commanded. Victory Bell's sleep powder drifted over the camp. In seconds, Ash and everyone else at the camp was asleep once again. Victory Bell's sleep powder almost works too